love movies and movie discussions, you've come to the right place. Who am I, you ask? I am the Wiz, and I'm here today with...
Kim Shactman.
Kim, how are you today?
Good. We're heading into the fall season. Well, we're in the fall season, I should say.
Yeah.
And it's chilly, but hey.
Yeah.
It's perfect time to be watching films.
That is right. It's any time to be watching films, but especially now. And we are here today to review the 2000 Disney animated film, The Emperor's New Groove. Kim, I don't know if you know much about this film. Do you remember this film being out when it came out in 2000?
We were kind of talking last week, and I saw this film in the movie theater, actually.
Oh, you too?
And,
okay.
Yeah, I was 15.
Okay.
And I saw this film in the movie theater, and I was actually on a blind date.
Oh, yeah.
when I saw it. So I wasn't really paying attention to the movie because I was nervous to be on the date.
Oh, yeah? Yeah.
No, I mean, it wasn't anything.
No.
It went nowhere. And
okay.
He was not attractive, and he was super quiet and didn't talk to me at all. So it was very, awkward. And I was just kind of the whole time, I couldn't focus on the movie because I was like, is this person going to talk to me? What is happening here? I'm 15 years old, you know?
Yeah. But you don't talk during a movie. That's probably why I was terrible dating when it came to seeing movies, because I would not talk during a movie. Well,
I don't know if you've ever experienced this before, living where you live, but where I live, we have movie theaters called Chunky Cinema, and they're movie theaters, but they're also, it's like a restaurant, too.
Oh, yeah. When I lived in Texas for a while, there was a Texas, I think it's Alamo Roadhouse, is what it's called.
Oh.
They do that too. It's you get dinner and you get the movie. So yeah.
Yeah, but what they have is you sit in they're like car seats. It's almost like you're in a drive-in movie, but you're not. But you're sitting at a table. Yeah, so they're super comfortable seats, and then you have a table, and they feed you food during the movie, like food and beer and whatever you want. So yeah, I think it's one of the only, our region is one of the only places that have it. And a very fun fact, not to digress, but a very fun fact is that was my first job, working at that movie theater.
No kidding. Huh.
Yeah, I was a food runner. So when I was 13.
The only job I ever got fired from was Blockbuster.
Oh my God, that's too funny.
I know. I was pissed when it happened, but now it's oh, that's funny.
Yeah. But that's when I saw this, the first time I saw this movie, and really the only time I saw that movie was when I was 15, blind date, and I was at Chunky Cinema. So I really didn't get to focus on the film, so I was glad that we watched it.
Good. Okay, so why don't we just get into the review? Let's do the review of The Emperor's New Groove, the 2000 animated film by Disney Animation Studios. This film is incredibly short. It is about a 73-minute film. We can just do the story right now, really.
Yeah.
Kuzco is a spoiled brat emperor who fires his advisor, the advisor then turns him into a llama accidentally. And
what's her name? Yzma?
Yzma.
Yeah.
Yzma, played by Eartha Kitt. And basically hijinks ensue for Kuzco to get back to his palace to become emperor again, be turned back human. I think another movie we watched recently, Old School, the story is just there for the gags. It's just okay, we have this very thin story, but let's just do a bunch of funny shit that happens in this movie.
Right.
Yeah, so the movie is basically non-stop gags, and like Old School, the gags really work, and it's actually really funny. I will admit, this is my 5th or 6th time seeing this, so I kind of knew what was coming.
That's a lot of times. Okay, so I'm going to just back up a little bit it comes to Disney.
Go ahead.
So when I was a kid, I was a huge fan of Disney. My parents, I don't know if it was my mom too, she was really big into it. She'd always sit us in front of the TV, and we'd have VHS of Little Mermaid, 101 Dalmatians, Lion King, Beauty and the Beast. Every Disney movie out there, we had it. I mean, this was when I was really young, though, right?
Right.
Where Emperor's New Groove came out in 2000, and I was 15, so obviously I hadn't grown up with it. But the thing that I don't love about this movie, being a big Disney fan, is it's not a musical. And I enjoy Disney musicals.
Okay.
That's like part of why I watch Disney films.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think, I mean, I don't know for sure because I haven't researched it, but I think this was one of the first Disney films that it wasn't a musical.
When it came to Disney movies, when I was a kid, when I was young, I wasn't a fan of them. I thought they were, okay. I liked Aladdin because it was funny, but the rest of them was like, whatever. It's just like girls bullshit, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, it's Disney princesses and, you know, it's whatever. That's why I loved it. Because, you know.
Right. But when I got older is when I really started enjoying it. And when I finally first saw Beauty and the Beast, I was like, holy shit, this is good.
Like, you could appreciate it more.
Oh, yeah. And Bella's hot. No, kidding.
Okay.
Kidding. But no. That's when I really started appreciating them. And I think, I go in between, The Lion King and Beauty and the Beast is my favorite. But I think Beauty and the Beast is, my favorite Disney film. But the thing is that's odd about, or not odd, these types of Disney films didn't start until the Little Mermaid made it huge. This was the Disney Renaissance, but before then, Disney was not doing well. I mean, do you remember Sword in the Stone? Do you remember The Black Cauldron? No one does. Unless you're big into Disney, no one does.
I do, but I remember them not being popular.
No, not at all. And it wasn't until, this time was when they had the animated Disney Renaissance, where from Little Mermaid up until the Treasure Planet, each of the movies made bank, even though the quality dipped at a certain point, they always made money. But with The Emperor's New Groove, what's interesting about this is, I think it was after Beauty and the Beast was made, they optioned to make a film called Empire of the... No, it's not Empire of the Sun, but Kingdom of the Sun, I think it's called. I'm not entirely sure.
Oh.
And it was supposed to be a movie like that. It was supposed to it would be serious with comic relief. It would have musical interludes. It would have songs. And the film got so bogged down in production. It was so bad at a certain point, they scrapped it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and then... This movie is essentially the result of that movie, because they wanted to make a movie about the Incan Empire, but whatever they did just didn't perform as well as they needed, that it was literally scrapped, and then it had to be released at some point, and this entire...
Probably because of all the time and money they put into
Oh,
it.
yes. And a lot of this film, if I recall correctly, a lot of this film had to be done on the fly, or it was written on spot, which is what happens. They would write the screenplay as the actors are doing the stuff in there. There's a lot.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a mess. It was a mess, but because they put so much money into this, they had to get it done. And this movie is a result of that. And the fact that it turned out really well is just whoa, okay. But
that's a lot that's pretty talented right there to have this become the end result of a rush job.
And incredibly lucky, because a lot of movies that would have that happen don't end up very well. Oh, they do terribly. I get why when you are used to the certain formula with Disney, that you're a little disappointed by this. But I think this is also why The Emperor's New Groove is not really considered part of that lineage. Disney does not include this movie at all in its animated movies, even though there is a fan base that really likes this movie. Because when you think of Disney movies, you think, like we talked about, Lion King, Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin. They think of those movies. They highlight those.
And then I was thinking about even 101 Dalmatians, and that is actually, I think, not a musical too.
No.
But that is part of that lineage. I would watch that all the time.
Right. Emperor's New Groove is so different from the rest of them that it actually makes sense to a certain extent as to why. Which when people see this film, they're like, whoa, this is so different from the rest of them. It's yep, and there's a reason.
I feel like it almost has a little bit, well, not really, but a little bit similar humor to Pixar films, but not the same animation. Kind of.
This film actually remind me of Looney Tunes more than anything else.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah, because
I used to watch Looney Tunes all the time.
Oh yeah, I still do at certain points. I do like the Looney Tunes cartoons, but that was the thing that I found interesting when watching this movie now, is that I liked it still. I still like it as much as I used to. But this is clearly not a Disney film. This seems like somebody just said, you know what? I really want to make a Looney Tunes film, but man, I got money from Disney. Oh, fuck it. I'll just do it this way.
That's it. That's like a really great way to look at it, because I think I was putting this film in like a Disney box. It doesn't fit the bill for me from that perspective. But the minute you said Looney Tunes, I was like, oh yeah, that is like what it reminds me of.
Yeah. Constant gags, constant jokes, characters that are really paper thin, but are basically used to get jokes across. Everybody in this movie is a sounding board to be made fun of. And to me, it really works. But you have to be into this humor, and which is also an odd thing, too, is because I don't like David Spade. I have never found him funny.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's okay. I'm not like a huge fan either. And it was very hard when I was listening, like knowing that it was David Spade. It was hard for me to like the character because of that. Like, I was just like,
That's kind of the point, because like Cusco is.
I know, but you know.
Yeah. Oh, I get what you're saying.
Like all I could say is like David Spade, David Spade, David Spade. Like not Cusco. Like I wasn't looking at him as Cusco. I was just like, it's David Spade.
But to,
you know.
Yeah, but to be fair, all four of the characters, the main characters, which is Cusco, Pacha, Kronk, and Yzma, are exactly the same thing. You could just say it's Patrick Warburton and be just fine. I think that's kind of also the charm of this movie, is that it doesn't really try to do anything but make you laugh. To that end, it works, and it works really, really well.
Well, I don't know. Like, I felt like the first half of the movie, I could see why other people would think it's funny, but I didn't really care about the jokes.
Okay.
But there's like a part made me chuckle, like the restaurant part from then on. Then I was like, okay, this is funny.
The guy giving the thumbs up as Cusco's walking away.
Oh my god, it was really like, I really liked how they did that restaurant part with the revolving door and stuff like that. Like, I just found it more funny and interesting and like creative.
Yeah.
Whereas like the first half of the movie, I was kind of like, this isn't really doing anything for me. Like,
okay.
Even like humor wise, like I was like, I get the jokes, but like I'm not like belly laughing.
I think the thing that I found most funny, and I still find funny, is how subversive in certain ways this movie is. Because it is very self-aware of what the movie is. And that also goes on to why I think the best character of the film is Kronk. I think
110%.
Oh, God, Kronk is
I was
so
going to say that. He's the funniest, and I mean, I love Patrick. I've always loved him. I love him in Family Guy. I love him in all other films that he does, like Ted and everything like that.
You love Patrick, huh?
Oh, he's hilarious. His voice is like perfect in every character he plays, like in anything, you know? And my husband's a huge fan of him too, because my husband's a huge Family Guy fan. Huge. 100% best character in this whole movie.
Oh, like, God.
It's so funny. Even like to the very end of the film, like I'm watching it and I was just like, oh my god. And I don't want to give anything away for our listeners, but oh my god, he's just hilarious. Like perfect timing in every like scene and moment of the film, where like the hops, the jump rope and stuff. Like I'm like, oh my god, like he's so funny. I just can't. Like I was like, this is great. This is so great. And then of course, the whole time I'm watching too, all I think of is Gronk from the Patriots, because Kronk and Gronk, and I'm just like, yeah, I can kind of see it.
One fell down and hit his head.
It's so funny. Like I was just like, he is the best character. I don't care what anyone says. Like, oh man.
And Kronk is a hard character to pin down, because most of the time, the whole point of the idiot character is to laugh at how much of an idiot he is.
Yeah.
But Kronk is strange in the way that, yes, he is a moron, but he's so damn lovable.
But he's so nice. And like, he's just like, I'm just hanging out with this fucking evil witch lady. I'm just going to make the best of it and go from there. Because, he's almost probably like, I kind of need a job, so I'll just do this and float through life and just be nice to everybody. But be a fucking idiot. Like, I don't know. It's just great. Like, I'm like, this is the best character.
Yeah, I got that there, Yzma.
Yeah. And then he's like, we'll have to do this again and get together, like long lost relatives or something. He says, like, when he's leaving their house. I'm like, oh my God. They're not even related.
I didn't even know it was your birthday.
Yes, that is the best part. And then what does he say? And then, like, when they're leaving the restaurant and she's like being a bitch to him and he's like, well, you don't have to be like that, especially since it's your birthday. I just love him. He's awesome.
Kronk and Patrick Warburton is probably the best thing about this movie. And I think it's also why I think this movie gets the fan base it gets, because I don't hear many people saying they like Kuzco or Pacha. I think it's because they either really like Kronk, or they like how the entire movie just makes fun of everybody in this movie.
Yeah,
I think
I can see that.
One of the funniest things in this movie too is how they describe Yzma throughout the entire film. Like even like strangers. Like, can you describe the people? Well, there's this really tall guy, and how do you describe that girl? Scared beyond all reason. Yeah.
Like every time, like every single person says the same thing.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
Oh God.
It's just like great. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I like too, even at the beginning, and again, I'm trying not to give too much away, but it's just fun to talk about. But like at the very beginning, when they're like kind of introducing him as the emperor, and he takes the stamp to kiss the babies, I thought that was funny. Like stamp, done. Like you're just like, it's just like stupid, but it's cute and funny.
That beginning, that whole sequence really sets the tone as what the movie is, and basically is. Don't take this fucking seriously. Just don't.
Right. Just go with it. Like, it's just funny. Yeah.
And then if it doesn't hit with you there, then it's like, okay, well, oh well. I think you're not going to enjoy this movie. Okay.
I think too, like David Spade I think he was good as the narrator. Like I liked like him being kind of narrating the story from the very beginning and then like a little bit throughout. Mm-hmm. I didn't like. I mean, again, I don't love David Spade, so it was kind of meh. But like. I liked that portion of it. Like, I think his voice did a good job in that.
My thing with David Spade in this movie is, to me, it's like he did enough not to ruin the parts where he was in. Like, him and John Goodman do a good job together. That's the other thing, too. John Goodman is a funny guy. He can do comedy very well.
But he wasn't playing, like, the funny role in this film.
Like, no, he was the straight man. He was the nice guy.
Right. He was like the kind hero, trying to flip around Kuzco's mindset about people and helping and caring and yada yada.
I guess if I were to rate the characters in this, I think one's Kronk, without a doubt.
Oh yes, anyone can see that. 2 is
Yzma.
They just play so well off each other too.
They do.
Like it's just, oh man, it's so good.
And then 3 is Pacha, 4 is Kuzco. But like, I don't think any of the characters are bad. Like, the movie's entertaining no matter what you do. But but when Kronk and Yzma are on screen, it's like, oh god, yes, thank you. Yeah. Like, oh man.
I like when he's sleeping too, and he just like randomly wakes up and like thinks of shit. Like, oh my God.
He didn't pay his bill.
Yeah, that was so funny. Like, the guy at the restaurant didn't pay his bill. Then he goes back to bed. I was like, oh my God.
Oh yeah, it's all coming together.
No, I know the best part of Gronk. I'm going to tell you this right now in this whole film. This is when I started belly laughing. When they first get into the jungle, and what do you do? He's like, something bingo. Oh my God. What was it? Bird watching bingo or something?
Yes.
I was dying. I was like, yes, this is hilarious.
No, to me, it's the Junior Chipmunk.
Well, yeah, that too. But oh my God. He's like, oh, got another one. Bird watching bingo. I just love this jungle. I'm like, oh my God. And he's got like a little fucking pen and shit, and he's like writing stuff down. I was like, this is great. And the old lady's like getting covered in mud. She's like, my favorite shoes. Oh, it's so funny. I was like, this guy's wonderful.
You know what? I want to give a special shout out to Pacha's kids.
Yeah. Oh, they're so cute. I like the part when they kick her out of the house. That was good.
I like when they're arguing about what happened in their dreams, and it just so happens to be what happens during the movie.
Yeah, that was cool. I like that too. Yeah.
I dreamt that Dad kissed a llama. That would never happen.
Yeah. Dad, he wakes up like scared. He's like, Dad fell over a 50-foot waterfall on a log or something.
Yeah, I know.
The mother's like, that would never happen.
Oh yeah,
he just went to go to the palace.
Right, because you're always right. That's right.
Yeah. Mom's always right. It's funny. It's a good movie. Overall humorous, but like you said, I compared to Old School, which is what we did last week. It's similar. I think it's interesting that you went over the fact that it was kind of like a rush job. I had no idea about that.
God, it was a terrible production. I don't know the specifics of it, but there is a YouTube channel called It Was a Shit Show.
Oh.
What this channel does is they go over productions of movies that just went through all sorts of problems. They just did The Fugitive recently, but they did this. And there's actually a documentary about this movie specifically. About how bad about how bad the production of this was. Like how
now I want to watch
messy
that.
It was. I forget what it was, and I think it's kind of hard to find now because the way Disney is, they want to keep that stuff under wraps,
hidden. Yeah.
Right. So they couldn't get it released in the theaters. I think you would have to find a specific way to get to this movie, but.
So the director and partial writer was Mark Dindal. Does he do like a lot for Disney? Is he like a...
Mark Dindal he did a lot when he was with Disney. I don't know what he's doing now. Yeah, he did Emperor's New Groove. He did Chicken Little, Cats Don't Dance. He did the sequel to Emperor's New Groove's Kronk's New Groove.
Because there's like a lot listed on IMDb, like all the different movies, but it seems like he was more into it for visual effects than actually directing it.
Sure.
Like a lot of these films.
Yeah. The documentary is called The Sweat Box.
Oh, interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I want to watch that. That sounds crazy.
Yeah. All right, so you want to get into your final thoughts on Emperor's New Groove?
Yeah, I mean, there really isn't much more to say.
Yeah, we just spoiled the entire film. So.
Yeah, pretty much, Just go watch the movie for Gronk. That's my final thought. No.
I mean... Okay.
It's just like, yeah, I mean, for final thoughts, honestly, I give it 2.5 stars out of 5. I almost wish it wasn't labeled as a Disney movie because I have thoughts on Disney movies and I usually thoroughly enjoy them. Like there aren't many Disney movies that I dislike. The first half of the film kind of bored me a little bit. I didn't really love the jokes as much as I think maybe other people would. By the time it got to like Kronk being more involved and in the film, like more scenes. Oh God, I was belly laughing at that point. So that's why I didn't give it a 2 or a 1 or a 1.5. I was like, Kronk makes this film. And if you took him out, then I would probably never watch this again. I don't know if I'd like watch this movie. Like you said, you saw this film 6 times. I don't think I could watch this 6 times.
Okay.
Like I'd get bored. But overall, like, it was fine. And knowing that it was a rush job, I think they did really well with it. Yeah, right. 2.5 stars for me.
2.5 stars. This is a 4-star for me. This is...
Really?
Oh, yeah. Like, this film is hilarious. This is one of my favorite Disney films. And I think it's because of how different it is from other Disney films.
Yeah, that's probably why you love it.
Utterly hilarious. I think Kronk is one of the best characters in this film. And it is just... it also knows when to stick the landing and when to stick around. Like, this is a 75-minute film, if that.
It is very fast, yeah. And they did well with the timing on it. I have to give them that.
Whereas other Disney films would pad the length of it with, like, meaningless stuff or, like, with some drama or a romance angle or something like that. They don't do that in this movie. They just say, you know what, this is what the movie's about. Let's have some gags. Boom, we're done. And I think it's better for it. again.
But sometimes I wonder, like, and I'm not trying to, like, obviously, like, make this like a sexist thing, but like,
Ooh, okay.
like women growing up in that time of when Disney movies were really popular, like, I'm wondering, like, if there were other females that like reviewed this film versus males, like if it would be a similar rating. A lot of the little girls growing up always had this vision of like Disney princesses and musicals, and that being like the it thing at that time. So like I'm wondering if like other people did reviews on it that were our age would feel the same. You know what I mean? Like the males really enjoyed this film, but the females, you know, are like, well, it's Disney, and this is what Disney does for me versus this film.
Well, this is why Disney, when this released in the theaters, didn't do much marketing for this movie. Even though it did pretty well, they didn't release it at the normal time at which they would release Disney films, which is June. They did this around November, December. They purposely distanced this movie from other films that they've made like that, specifically so it doesn't get confused with all that stuff. With
right.
movies.
I'm really surprised you gave this a 4.
Oh God, it's so funny. I saw this.
It's definitely your humor.
Oh,
I
yes,
can
it
see
is.
That. Yeah.
Oh, yes, it is. I saw this in the theater in 2000 by myself, and I was cracking up throughout the entire time. I was like, oh my God. Like,
that's awesome.
Oh, yeah. None of the characters are, I would say, bad in any way. Even though I don't like David Spade, I think he's fine in the character.
Yeah.
Kronk is the movie, of course.
Right.
And, yeah, I thoroughly enjoy this movie. I think it's hilarious. I haven't seen the sequel, and I'm kind of afraid to see it, to be absolutely honest. Because
yeah, I'm assuming that I didn't even realize they had a sequel.
It was made for DVD.
Oh.
And the made-for-DVD ones usually from Disney are usually terrible. Honestly, I don't bother with them usually.
Just don't watch it, because then it's going to ruin the original.
Yeah. Yeah.
It could.
It could, yeah. 4 stars for me for The Emperor's New Groove. 2.5 for Kim. We both think it's hilarious. I think that you just think Kronk is hilarious.
Yeah, I think he's the whole movie, and he's funny, but I don't know. I think I just have this picture in my head of what a Disney movie really is to me.
Yeah.
And that's why I couldn't rate it high, because it didn't do everything I needed a Disney movie to do for me.
Yeah, I think that's why I enjoy it, because it's such a subversive thing for Disney to do. Even though I know the story behind it now, where it wasn't that Disney purposely did this.
Right. It was almost like on accident, pretty much.
It was, we gotta do something. Oh, fuck it.
Yeah, let's just throw this down and see how it goes.
4 stars for me, 2.5 for Kim. Yeah, I mean, if you guys haven't seen it, I would say check it out. Maybe not Kim. Yeah.
Well, no, I mean, like, especially, too, like, if you have, I mean, I think it's a kid's movie, too. Like, you can watch this with your kids, and adults will get something out of it, and obviously the kids will think it's cute and funny. So, like, I mean, I don't say don't watch it. I just think maybe if you're a female, I don't know, and you grew up with Disney films and you have this kind of stigma of what a Disney film should be, this is a lot different. Like, it's not your regular musical. There isn't really any romance in it. It's different. It's definitely a different Disney film, so just prepare yourself for that.
Right. So what Kim is trying to say is women just don't know what's funny, which, you know, I find kind of sexist.
Oh my God, that's not true. There's a different humor, you prick.
I know. No, like there have been studies about this where women enjoy movies with a human element, whereas guys enjoy movies with a specific purpose. For example, like guys like Fast and the Furious because, you know, cars, hot chicks, and explosions. Okay.
Well, yeah, and
whereas
then women like movies
romance
with more,
about
like more emotion.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not really that. I'm kidding with the sexist thing, but
I know. But, like, you could watch this with your spouse, like, you know, male, female, whatever, and you'd still enjoy. It'd be funny, like, whatever. You know, like I could watch this with my husband, and I think he'd enjoy it. But then when I watch, I don't know, Little Mermaid with my husband, he's like, shut this shit off. Like, you know what I mean?
Really?
Like,
I gotta remember that when it comes to this stuff, I'm very different because most guys.
But he'll watch Beauty and the Beast.
Beauty and the Beast is so good, though.
Yeah, it is really good. Yeah. But I was growing up, I loved Little Mermaid and Cinderella. Like, he won't watch Cinderella, but he loves Aladdin. And I
Oh,
think
yeah.
it's 100% Robin Williams.
Oh, sure.
So
Absolutely.
yeah. So yeah, I think comedy does play a big part in it for the males when it comes to Disney movies, and then females growing up in my generation, it was just all about the Disney princesses.
I just got to remember that when it comes to like romance and stuff like that, I am very different from most guys. 'Cause
You are. Yeah.
Romance is one of my favorite genres of films. So when people ask, "Oh, what are your favorite films?" and I say, "Oh, Notting Hill," I'm like, "What?" It's like,
But again, because you're also like a film geek, so it's different.
you have to convince film geeks to watch Notting Hill.
That's weird.
You got
because that is a really nice movie.
Because even though, like, I'll put it this way, even though when people see it goes, actually, it's really good. You have to break the seal of, well, it's Julia Roberts and Hugh Grant. How could it actually be?
Oh yeah, like before they'll even watch it.
Yeah.
They're judging it basically.
Exactly. So yeah.
I
Okay.
told you.
Yeah. Okay. Again, 4 stars for me for Emperor's New Groove, 2.5 for Kim. Yep. Go see it.
Yeah, check it out.
Yeah, definitely.